Okay, cool.
All right.
Mm-mm.
So introduce yourself, Michael. Yeah, it says, see, it says live on Facebook now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
on live.
All right. Good evening. And also all union members from all over the country. Today we good.
Yeah, we good.
Okay, we're good.
We're
Today we got a special show. We have various members from various locals. So we're just gonna get right into it. We're gonna do it like a introduction. Everyone have a brief introduction, and how satisfied are you with the handling of the coronavirus crisis with your company, and also how satisfied are you with the handling of the coronavirus crisis with your union? So we're gonna get right into it. John, you want to go ahead first?
Sure, Michael. How long you got? This could go a while. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, it could go. You know, we all quarantine right now. You know, we all got time. We got some extra time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reason why I got a lot to say is I have 104 of my members are dead. I have something like 3,000 members positive. We over 6,500 members quarantined. We have served as a vector for the virus, for the spread of the virus. If you wanted to, you couldn't develop a weapon that works better to kill people than the New York City New York City Transit Authority being open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, spreading this virus both in an aerosol fashion, but also on all the metal surfaces, the plastic surfaces, concentrating people in large numbers. They canceled sporting events. They canceled the Mets and the Yankees. They don't want to have 42,000 people in the same place, but they're willing to have millions of people in the same place because they don't care about our lives. And because they want to pretend like everything is normal and everything is not normal. And we can't really tell you when everything will be normal again. But we know one thing, that if we don't control the spread of the disease, then more people are going to die. And now the solution, a month and a half late, is for them to close the subway system for 4 hours, from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m., starting on May 5th. Now, this was because the governor and the mayor were getting their head handed to them because of the negative media coverage about homelessness in the subways, the basically the uncontrolled spread that was helping to foster. But the solution that they come up with is, of course, a half-assed solution at best, and really no solution to the problems that we really face. So, for example, what it means at 1 o'clock in the morning when they try to kick out all the homeless out of the subways, it means that they're now not the subway's problems, but somebody's community problem. Okay, they're not solving the problem. They're not providing the services that they need to deal with the crisis of homelessness. There's no reason for homelessness in America. There's no reason for homelessness anywhere in the world. There are more vacant housing units in New York City than there are homeless, and there have been for decades, because they don't have an interest in providing those housing units free because these people can't afford anything else, because it would depress the price of the housing market in New York. And Bill de Blasio's up to his neck in the real estate industry. That's how he got elected, by being big good friends of the Bruce Ratners of the world, who created the Barclays Center in New York, the major sports stadium there, that wiped out most of the low-cost housing in New York City. And Cuomo is in bed with the real estate interest as well. He's in bed with construction companies. So he wants to maintain their profits. So they've turned a blind eye to a major social crisis. Homeless people are not responsible for the disease that they spread. They're not responsible for the disintegration from society. They are a symptom of the disease of the society that doesn't care about providing funding for the things that poor and working class and oppressed people need. So they cut mental health services. They cut drug and alcohol rehab services. They make homeless shelters places where people get raped and abused and robbed, because they do not provide any real housing. It's just warehousing people. It's just so they can say they did something. And so now again, they want to say they did something. So How, and this opens the door to the gutting of potentially pick rights for transit workers. What happens to somebody who works the midnights? What happens to that nurse that has to travel to the hospital that works a midnight shift? What happens to the cleaning people who have to travel? Look, we put forward a solution. We're transit workers. We're pounding the road every day, just like y'all, right? And then when we come home, we have to think about, like, how can we save our lives? That's what we're forced to do with our lives. This is not a role that we wanted to be in, but we came up with a solution. The solution is to credential every single person that rides the subway. They must be emergency workers, period. They must have a letter from their boss saying that they must work, and there should be a limit to the number of them. And then some of those emergency service workers, guess what? All the hotels in New York are empty because there ain't no tourists. All of the car rental places, they ain't renting no cars. Give these people cars. Help them be able to transport themselves in a safe way to where they need to go. There are real solutions. They don't want you to know that those solutions exist because they want to protect the profits of the parasites who put us all in harm's way in the first place. So that's a short introduction. I'm sure there'll be many more questions, but I don't want to dominate too much time.
Well, thank you so much, man. That was a really powerful introduction. And before we go on to the next speaker, we'll just have a moment of silence for all the transit workers and also just anybody in general, that's passed away because of this COVID-19. So let's just do a moment of silence, please. Thank you so much. All right, moving on. Eric, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Good evening and peace, everybody. This is Brother Eric. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and some of my concerned coworkers, not on behalf of Local 308 or the CTA. And I'm sure they're glad, because if I was, a lot of upset people. Oh, hold on a minute. Hold on. I have to order a sandwich. Isn't that obscene that I just did that? Isn't that it makes no sense, right? It's like, what are you talking about? You're gonna order a sandwich? Well, that was the response from our elected leadership of our union after weeks and over a month of pleading with them to open up virtual mass meetings and let the membership speak and let the membership bring up solutions to the problems that we have and let us debate on it, let us vote on action and demands on which to make on the mayor and our employer for our safety and for our lives. Yet we're returned with no gratitude. In fact, we're returned with insults like free sandwiches and just be safe and keep your social distance. Well, you can take your social distance and shove it, because we all did our social distance and we still get sick. 4 of my coworkers are dead. They will never, ever, ever come back. I've been sick for a whole damn month. The first day I can talk without continuously coughing is today. But, well, there I go. I have to cough again. But this mayor that we have today had a press conference, and a reporter asked her, "Hey, New York City, Mayor Cuomo, he just said he's going to shut down the CTA for a couple hours every night to clean the system. What do you say, Mayor? How about we do that?" She said, "No, we can't do that. We got essential workers." Okay, so you're gonna take the essential workers, us, right, the so-called essential workers, and then we're gonna transport other so-called essential workers on filthy vehicles because you don't want to allocate the funding to hire the people in our union to clean up the trains properly and condemn us to death. I mean, it was just so pompous. It was absolutely, I was livid. And what's the response from our elected leaders and our unions? Shut up, be happy, at least you have a job. Well, you know what? You know what? Maybe you won't be so lucky when it's time for elections, that's for sure. Because when you talk to us like we're slaves, you sound like another level of management. And I swore, I said, when I got this COVID-19, I said, that's it. No more Mr. Nice Guy from me. They hate me at the union meetings now. Oh man, they got to get a restraining order to keep me out. Y'all continue. I have a lot to learn. Peace.
Thank you, Eric. And it's we all share your frustration, brother. You know, and that's one of the reasons why we're here. You know, not just to vent, to come up with solutions. You know, moving forward. You know, just saying like, okay, you know, complaining and making noise. You know, we're gonna have to take it a step further. So hopefully we can, you know, at the end of this meeting, that's one of the things, you know, what can we do as members moving forward, you know, to make sure that no one dies from this virus. So moving on, Jivar, you're
Hey,
on the
Mike.
mic. Yep.
All right, on the spot. All right, you guys ready for me? All right, gentlemen, and well, we don't have any ladies here, but all right, moving along. All right, gentlemen, my name is Javar Drake, and like you know, John and Seth, I'm originally from New York City, born and raised in Brooklyn. I never thought I'd, you know, somewhat follow my father's footsteps. He's a retired bus mechanic from the MTA, which you know, John's heavily familiar with. But just to pretty much put my mix and piggyback on what John was saying, you know, just on how, you know, this pandemic is going, like, yeah, like, to, you know, be quite honest, in the situation, as far as handling the situation with homelessness, you know, I know they get like labeled as parasites, but you know, like corporate welfare and, like, you know, the big businesses, the banks and stuff, like they're the real parasites, you know. And I was saying to you know, Mike and Leroy yesterday, just you know, glad, not, you know, excluding the deaths, I'm glad they're feeling it because of like the economic crash. And honestly, I mean, I know folks are like, you know, are rushing to get back to work, but like, honestly, this capitalist like society, like system that's in place, it's really not for the working class, like, and poor. It really isn't. Let's just call it for what it is. And yeah, just this pandemic is just, yeah, like no one was, you know, expecting it. You know, can't like heavily like fall. I mean, I on how it's just being handled is, it's really atrocious. There's like really nothing truly set in place. You know, the authority, at least the hours, you know, with the 14-day policy, you know, just like to know what made you come up with that number. But anyway, that's neither here or there. But yeah, just fairly like disappointed on the outcome on the handling of this pandemic. But like you were saying, John, just like, it's just that easy. Have like cops, like with police, you know, they're out on highways doing DUI checkpoints, right or wrong, they're out there doing checkpoints. Why not do checkpoints on these, or on all these essential folks that, you know, still cram up the subway? Check credentials, like, it's, you know, it's just that easy. It's just that there's just a lot of holes being poked on a very flimsy boat. You know, so, but anyway, let me not spill. I'll just wrap up from there and move on to the next person. So
Thank you, Javar. Vince.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what's up, Vince? Langford, don't ask me why I put the X up there. I don't know. So, yeah, I'm down here in Philly with Mike, suffering under an idiot leader who's says the dumbest things on videos and a fixation on Santa Claus and men. I don't know what the video was about. Well, what are some random thoughts? Cuomo's an idiot. We take our orders from New York because they're the biggest transit company. But the problem is Cuomo doesn't know anything about transit. So we follow an idiot. Our union president right now is 33 years on the job. He's getting ready to walk out. He's saying horrible things about Mike organizing. He's saying things about me on Facebook and using weird cliches to dumb down the rest of the membership. And that background Javar has is hot. I need that background.
He's
I know Seth looks like he's got something to say, and Harold looks like he's ready to take a nap. Let's see. I hope you get better, Eric. I hope you do. That cough sounded mean there. Hope you get better. And John, I can't hear enough of John. I can listen to this guy all day. Look at that smile. Look at Mike. He's smiling. I got my wife over here. She's watching her union. They just asked her to be a delegate. I hope she declines. Well, it's her call. But I did it for 3 years and hated every minute of it. I hated it. It was brutal. Every day I came home hoping the job was gone the next day. I would drive up to the parking lot hoping cops were everywhere. I hated it. I'm not going to run for anything. I can't be a president. It'd just be too crazy. Whatever Trump does, I go the other way in insanity. Vince, come up to New York and work here. Oh, you don't want me up there, Seth. You don't want the bomb going off up there. Look at that smile. I wish my wife could see this.
Hey, I'm coming now.
Everyone's having a great night.
I'm trying to find out about my pension.
Pension information.
They're trying to see if we could borrow from our pension.
Borrowing from pension. The
Not
mayor.
that I need it, but who am I looking at? Which one's Seth?
Seth's over here.
That's over here. You move.
Hey.
Hey, I'm John.
We got the wife here. Doesn't Javar look like Rich Dollars?
Oh my God, yes, he
He
does.
looks
Is
like
he
Rich
from
Dollars.
New York?
He does. He looks like Rich Dollars.
Do you know him?
No.
Are you related to him? Like, I'm just joking.
I love that background. I need that
How's
background.
Tara? Is it Tara?
Is it or
And
Amina?
Amina.
I'm not
Wait,
even sure.
no, that's Peter Guns, not Rich Dallas.
It's one of them guys.
Thanks, Vince. Thanks for bringing the humor.
Oh yes, thank you. Yes, no problem, Mike.
Who said that?
Let's go over here to Mike, the host.
Is
Hey,
that Mike that was on your Mike Bennett?
Yes.
Hey, Mike.
how can you not know me by now?
Because I always see you on the live. I don't see your face. You comment. You don't join. You're always more than welcome to join.
I'll keep that in mind.
Great, because we're live every day.
Sounds good.
Oh,
I look forward to it. Whenever I need
We'll be
a
live tomorrow morning and afternoon.
sounds good. Harold, you wanna go ahead and introduce yourself? Mr. Harold
Not
Harley.
really. Not really, Mike. Everybody should know by now. The deal is, as
Just give us-
everybody should know, I'm Harold. I got 20 years on the job. Just another day at home, quarantine like everybody else. Sorry, Eric got it bad, but my prayers go out for you. Get rid of the cough and all that old good stuff, and hopefully you get better. It's just rough being at the job every day. I gotta go back in here tomorrow and deal with the public as usual. It's just another day. I'm getting used to it, wearing the mask every day, doing what I gotta do. But the company, the union, they let us down, as they always do. So it's nothing new. But right now, it is what it is. I'm still moving forward. I'm gonna keep going strong, and I'm gonna keep my brothers and sisters' spirits up and just keep everybody together. That's it.
Thank
Back
you.
to you, bruh.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. And thank you, for this is Harold. Harold actually ran with me in the past election, I ran for TWU local 234 president. And just thank you, man, just for believing in me, and also just sticking with me. I appreciate you, Harold.
No problem, bro. You know I got your back.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Seth.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good.
Good, yeah.
Your volume.
The volume's low.
Does that help at all?
Yeah, a little
Little bit.
bit. Speak loud, Seth. Speak loud.
All right.
Act like you're in a crew room.
Is that any better?
Much better.
Yes,
much
yes,
better.
sir.
Okay. Yeah, I think my headset was maybe shorting out my microphone or something.
Seth is shy, by the way, just so y'all know.
Oh, so Seth, we just doing like introductions, a brief introduction, and we just the question is, are you satisfied with with your company handling of the the coronavirus crisis, the company / union?
Gotcha. Yeah, so my name's Seth Rosenberg. I'm a New York City subway operator. 14 years total on the job. My first year was as a conductor, and then 13 years up in front operating. I'm a shop steward as well. John and I are we're both shop stewards and co-founders of Local 100 Fight Back, a small progressive coalition. Yeah, my answer to both questions, both with respect to the MTA and the union's response, is a resounding no, to the point where I think it's actually criminal on both fronts. John may have talked a little bit about the MTA's response. I was in mid-March, I spoke to my superintendent and tried to get them to sanitize our operating positions every run, to get social distancing, to get masks on people who are out on the platform. And I was basically told, sanitize bring your own stuff, sanitize your own position. We don't have a plan for social distancing. Talk to your union. Even though it had already been mandated, and so, I'm already on the record. I've gone after our chairman, Pat Foy, on the radio. I wrote a letter in response to stuff to the Daily News. They have, most transit workers agree they have blood on their hands. Pat Foy is trying to hide behind CDC regulations about the masks, but with respect to sanitizing positions, with respect to social distancing, all that stuff, they did not have a plan and they could not be bothered. All they wanted to do was keep running trains under Cuomo's orders. It's criminal negligence, and they all should be held accountable for it. The union, very similar. A union's basic duty is to protect its members. And we've had, count, what is it, John, 70 or 80 approximately? You're on mute, John, but with respect to
104 is the last count.
Yeah, but that includes supervisors too, right?
No.
It doesn't? Okay. So over 100, right? And so
Wow.
I can tell you, when the MTA didn't have a plan and there was no social distancing, there was no cleaning, there was not PPE for us, our union did not go out in the field to defend us. They didn't condemn Cuomo. They didn't condemn Foy. They didn't condemn our interim president Feinberg. They didn't draw a line in the sand and say, we're going to be out there stopping work if these people aren't safe, right? Now, we've gotten to some discussions. Obviously, like calling a walkout would be one thing because of the Taylor law, but they have the right to go anywhere and enforce safety if things are unsafe. And they completely dropped the ball on that. Probably they're going to try to cover themselves and say, oh, behind the scenes, we were really tough. But that does not mean anything, because what they needed to do was organize the members and draw a line in public and take a stand, and they did not do that. They failed on their basic responsibility, and we have over 100 dead now, and those numbers don't lie.
Wow. And who's going to hold those accountable, for the deaths? Somebody got to be held accountable. you know, if we make a mistake, we drop the ball, you know, then we are subjected to harsh
That's our
discipline.
jobs. That's our jobs.
You know, yeah. But
And that's
these
that.
people are pretty much getting away with murder, and they think they could just walk out scot clear free.
No, please. They sleep like babies in their nice like mansions and stuff like that. High-end homes. They sleep like babies. Let's just call it for what it is. Let's call it for what it is. All right. And you know, like Seth was saying, you know, it's like a lot of people are dying. So look at all of us, like,
Hold on one second.
semi-military. Once we die, hey, look, the authority, look, next man up. They treat us like a number.
Yeah,
They
count
treat
them.
the number. Social security. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Next man up. Next man up. Oh, you died. You know. Yeah.
So
Long. I mean, and they just.
yeah.
I mean, it's sad.
Hey, do Willie want to speak? Willie want to speak?
Yeah,
No Santa Claus line. No Santa Claus line. All right.
Huh? They ain't gonna get the Santa Claus punchline because.
I'm gonna tell them about the Santa Claus line, Vince, because they want to know.
All right, this idiot behind me is the president of the union. So he put out a video last night of saying,
is that your VP knocking you upside the head? Is that your VP knocking?
Yes, that's my wife. Yes. And
that's Brian Pollard knocking you there. Well, Willie, I
was trying to get Willie.
Oh, she was trying to knock Willie out. Oh. Well, what happened was okay, well, she did. She got him. Oh, it's come up. I love the sum up.
Thanks, guys.
Willie put a video up saying that the mayor getting involved in our negotiations, he was happy like a kid at Christmas. He felt like a kid when he sees Santa Claus, which led me to ask the question, what grown man looks forward to another grown man with a sack coming to him with a beard and then sitting on his lap? To which I asked people on my live, have you sat on a man's lap with a very large sack?
Shoot. The roles should be reversed. He should be Santa.
Huh?
I said Willie should be Santa.
Well, either way, I don't want to be around either
Willie,
one of them.
Willie should
Yeah,
be Santa.
that sack issue's a problem.
So the bigger
But
question,
anyway,
question is, you know, what gift did we receive from Santa for stopping, you know, the job action?
Nothing.
Moving on. We're gonna go right into Leroy. Leroy, are you on?
I'm here.
All right. Give us an introduction and also tell us you know, how you feel about the handling of the coronavirus, you know, by the company / union.
Okay, well, as I said the other day when I was on, I'm a member of Local 32 DJ. We are janitorial, security officers, airport workers, office cleaners, school district workers, so forth and so on, window cleaners. You know, we're in 9 states. We have like 175,000 members. We currently have 22,000 members laid off. We've mourning the death of like 56 to almost 60 members. For me personally, because I'm a rider of SEPTA, I'm a supporter of the workers. It's troubling to me to see how it's really not being addressed, the members' issues, but also when we're looking at the essential workers, you know, quote unquote, healthcare and so forth and so on. The system that's in place, the lip service that's being given is really troubling to me. Not only is it troubling to me because I'm seeing it and I can call it bullshit because, you know, I'm walking 9 blocks every day to go get a train. I'm also catching another train with like I said, FedEx workers and postal workers, and you run the risk of the SEPTA driver being put in a position to have to skip people. I'm following SEPTA on Twitter, and like the communications, the public game that they're putting out there, you would think that they're on point. But when I talk to members like yourselves, when I hear the stories of the people in Boston and New York, it's troubling to me because it's not only going on there, it's going on everywhere. And it's like it's not being taken seriously. After we got off the call the other day, I reached out to 4 city council members. I got 2 of them to reply that, they're in conversations. I reached out to Jordan Harris, who's a state rep, who was, he's on top of a lot of things. And, like city council member at large, Derek Green responded to me today that, they were in communications with Willie and Leslie. And then when he was pushed by another member, well, like, what's been the response? Like, can you give us an update? He was kind of silent. But like I said to you the other day, Mike, I honestly believe you have to follow the money. You have to continue to doing what you're doing now. All of the members that's on here speaking now, you have to remember, don't make this about Willie, make it about yourselves and make it about the riding public. That's I'm totally not satisfied. Like, I mean, today I was riding on the Norristown High Speed line, and the driver is forced to. He passed up at least 8 stops because the car was full.
Right.
And no person should be put in that position to where he has to pass up people that he picks up every day, or apologize to people in the morning. Like, listen, it's not my fault. The car was full, because like some people feel some type of way, and it's not on the drivers because the general manager is laying out some type of a mandate, or the union is agreeing to backdoor deals. Well, give us this, and that, and we'll be satisfied. We'll go away. That's not the case. I looked at a press reading from the school superintendent. They're talking about when schools open up in September, how there might be multiple shifts for the kids to come to school. Well, how long are we going to continue to run the backdoor policy?
Right.
Like SEPTA's getting ready to go into a May meeting, a board meeting, where they're going to look at a fare increase. Like, how do you justify a fare increase when you're not taking money, now? And another thing before we go, that shield that they gave to the drivers is very inadequate. Like, why does that not go all the way to the window? And what is the driver going to do when they have to engage somebody in a wheelchair, or somebody elderly that might not be able to take care of themselves health wise? These are just some questions I have.
No, absolutely. Well, I mean, thank you, for advocating, for us transit workers, and and through your commute, you see, what we're faced with. One of the big things is overcrowding on buses. It's almost impossible to maintain social distancing on many of the routes, throughout the system.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a hazard. All it takes is just one person. Another thing that been brought up, actually, ATU union had put a post out about it, air quality. How the germ, the actual virus, can be circulated in the air, and they was actually working on some solutions for that. So I mean, so most of you guys know my name is Michael Bente, and I'm an 8-year employee of SEPTA. I want to make a disclaimer: I do not represent the union, or I do not represent the company. My company I work for, SEPTA. So I'm just a union member, just pretty much just voicing my opinion, and I'm just trying to get people to come together to try to get some solutions to the problems we're facing. I'm part of a lot of transit groups. I see a lot of members that's complaining, and it just feel like their voice is not being heard. At SEPTA, we lost 6, I believe is 6. The number keep going up, and they're not being very transparent with the numbers. So as of right now, we have 6 deaths, and we have over 200 COVID-19 positive employees. Now, as far as union members, Local 234, I believe that number could be anywhere within 100 or 150. Still, it's too much. It doesn't matter if it's 1 death or 1,000 deaths. These are, it's not just the families that's impacted. is the union members, that knew these people, the co-workers that suffered and died because of this virus. So I mean, how do we get this from spiraling out of control? And the company respond is they put together a strategic campaign to make themselves look good, in front of the camera. And it's a lot of things I could go on and on and on and tell you from day one, and give you a timeline. But overall, it was just these guys are just they don't really care about us. They don't appreciate us. And like Javar said, we're just a number. So how do we maintain, how do we get back our power? How do we get them to respect us? How do we get them to respect our coworkers? How do we get them to respect our families? Right? So that's the big question here. So go ahead, John. Hold on, you got to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I just did. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, I mean, part of the way we answer that question is we have to know what not to do. Okay. You guys got a minute? Because I have a video from my union president as to what the union put out there about the great fight they were leading against unsafe conditions in the coronavirus pandemic, and also mourning our dead. It's entitled Mourn for the Dead, Fight for the Living. So I'm going to try to play Tony Utano's message so that you guys can get an idea of what not to do. Here we go. Here's YouTube. And let me just unmute this. Tap to unmute. Okay. So this is the video. Starts off a little low.
Workers' Memorial Day has always held a special significance for transit workers and TWU Local 100. It is this day each year, April 28th, that we stop to reflect on many transit workers who have been killed on the job over the years. The number of transit workers lost to this job has always been too high. But today, Workers' Memorial Day holds new meaning in the light of terrible loss of life we have suffered among our brothers and sisters due to the coronavirus plague. To date, we have lost 61 brothers and sisters across New York City Transit. We have lost another 6 of our brothers and sisters from our school bus and private operation division. These numbers are staggering. The amount of grief that they have caused throughout this union to affected families is truly immeasurable. These losses will stay with us for years to come. The losses will stay with their families forever. The union has worked tirelessly to find new ways to provide a safer workplace during this pandemic, including the distribution of masks, gloves, and sanitizer to the frontline workers, the suspension of Kronos finger scanning attendance system, disinfecting stations and rolling stock every 72 hours, rear door boarding of buses with access to the front of buses blocked by police tape and chains, priority COVID-19 testing at Northwell Medical Urgent Care Centers for transit workers, suspension of the vast majority of cash transactions at subway stations, the distribution of face shields for conductors, relaxed sick rules, the postponement of co-payment increases for prescription drugs and emergency room visits until next year. Medical teams are taking temperatures of workers at an increasing number of reporting locations. Subway and bus maintenance teams are working 1 week on and 1 week off rotations. Also, reporting times, reporting locations are being staggered to promote social distance. Workers in the roles with high customer interaction like weight binders and platform controllers have been reassigned to other service roles away from public contact. We have also negotiated a $500,000 death benefit and 3 years of continuing medical coverage for the families of our lost brothers and sisters. This will never replace their loved ones, but it will give the family real assurance that they will have the financial resources to survive and recover. Transit workers, however, remain concerned. We are on the highest alert at all times. We recognize the important role we play in bringing the soldiers in this war to the front lines. We accept that responsibility with determination and pride. We understand that the trains and buses must continue to run. However, when this ordeal is finally over, we demand thorough review of all MTA safety protocols, and we will demand full union involvement in developing a rapid response safety plan for future emergencies. We also want a full review of personal protective equipment that workers must be issued at all times, not just during medical emergency.
Okay, that's enough of blowhard.
Yeah.
Your
Sounds
time.
like a political gain ad to me.
Yeah,
It sounds
basically,
yeah to me. It sounds
yeah, basically, if you notice what's missing from the ad is anything to do to fight for the living. You know, they talk a lot about mourning the dead and fight for the living, but I don't see much of a fight for the living. In fact, the response is, well, after the crisis,
Yeah.
then after the crisis, we'll come up with a plan. So after our workers are dead, the union's going to come up with a plan. With a union like that, with friends like that, we don't need enemies. Seth, I'm sure you got something to say.
Yeah, no, I think the key phrase in that thing is after this is all over, then we're gonna, look over to see what the TA did wrong and not do it again. Right. But we've already lost 100 people and they're not saying enough is enough. We have to stop this right now. And I can tell you, today was my 4th day back at work, and I'm on the ground at my terminal trying to push supervision and my managers to take this seriously. When I came, our crew rooms are very small. We're down underground. When I came in on Monday, there was no overflow. There was no place for people to go if the crew room was over full. So I said, listen, you got to provide an office train or I'm going to shut this terminal down. Right. And they got one immediately because they know they're exposed on that. Right. But then even, now I'm looking at stuff and then they didn't have a plan in the room to keep people 6 feet apart. Like all you have to do is put tape down and only have a certain number of chairs in the room, but they couldn't even do that. And I went to my superintendent today. I said, or yesterday, I think, I can't remember now. The days are blurring together, but I went to my superintendent. I said, this has to be done. And she was like, well, talk to your union. That's your people. And I'm like, but then sure enough, they put signs out there. They limited the number of people. But then again, if you look at it, we have long tables. And so they put 6 feet apart on one side of the table, but then you're sitting across from someone 3 feet right in front of you. You're breathing on each other. So they can't even figure that out. But that's all to say, where has my union been on this? Why am I've been out a couple of weeks. Why am I, just a shop steward, rank and file, have to fight this when my union hasn't been doing any of this when they could have been on top of it? They could send people out to all the terminals and say, if you don't come up with this, we're shutting it down. We have a contractual right to do so. Right. Yeah. So we have to, but what we're seeing in transit is people are stepping up. The union has completely given up. They're siding with Cuomo and the MTA. They're acting like agents of the MTA. Even our VP of RTO, Eric Logel, we have him on video a couple of weeks ago saying people that they shouldn't wear masks, right? And it just saying, well, the MTA doesn't have them, so what do you want? Wow. But people are stepping up and saying we're not going to take this. We're doing it in a lot of ways. People are doing it at terminals, like I'm doing. People are also putting out stuff on social media about problems with the homeless. Now, I know the homeless need to be treated with dignity and respect. They should be put in hotel rooms and given the services that they need.
True.
Right? But the problem is that the MTA and the governor and the mayor don't want to address that problem. They just want to, they'll push them out onto the streets, right? But members have been highlighting how dangerous the conditions are for us, right? And because of that, and it's gotten into the media with so many dead, it is staggering that after 100 dead, that the MTA isn't taking this seriously, and our union has not drawn a line in the sand.
Absolutely.
Right? It's staggering, but it is encouraging to see workers stepping up and trying to get stuff done. Another thing we can do, so John has gone out, right? We're kind of taking over what the union hasn't done. John has gone out and done spot checks to look for PPE, and he's found the PPE there and proper social distancing. But like at my terminal, I said, if I come in and there's not masks for people, there's not gloves, I'm shutting the terminal down.
Right.
Good.
By the way, just to follow on Seth, we are doing what our union leadership should be doing in terms of providing masks.
Right.
We organized to buy with our own money high quality N95 masks that are like the top of the line, much better than what the union provided and much better than what management has provided.
Right.
We did that not because we think that rank and file workers should have to spend their own money to save their own lives, but because we kind of anticipated ahead of time, based on their response so far, that they wouldn't step up and that they wouldn't play that role. But we've also been the ones putting forward an emergency plan directly to the MTA about, for example, isolating train cars, isolating the train operator, the conductor's position. I don't know what it's like in some of your systems, but in our system, 25% of the air that the train operator, the conductor breathes in and through the AC is from outside the train. 75% is from within the car. So without having that car isolated, all you're doing is cycle in the same recycled air and those droplets. It's a massive invitation to get every one of our employees sick. And we made this demand, and they've absolutely refused to respond. Even the union leadership has refused to respond.
You got something to say, Eric?
Yes, thank you. And Vince, you and your backgrounds are very distracting. I enjoy it very much. I want to say that we share how sense of humor can be a powerful weapon.
Yeah.
And I'll just make it real brief. At the last union meeting, our presidents have canceled our union meetings to their advantage. But the last one we had the the financial audits presented. I always take notes and I share notes with my coworkers. I do unofficial videos and piss off a lot of the union elected leaders. This time, they didn't want me taking notes. They said, you can't take notes. And you can't use your phone. I don't use my phone and I'm just writing on my own paper. They said, no, you can't do that. So then what I did is I took the audit report up to my face like this, and I started winking my eye, making clicking noises. Click, click. And they said, what are you doing? I said, I'm taking pictures with my iPhone. They hated me. I mean, you should have seen the faces up there. They were so mad at me. And I started blowing kisses to our secretary because she gave me these awful, angry looks. And I'm like, look, man, I'm just trying to help.
Right.
Anyways, I just wanted to just share that we are making some victories, all of us. And I think they're little teeny tiny victories. And I think one thing we have to realize is that we will, as the revolutionaries, as the people in the background, the agitators, the radicals, we will never be given credit for anything. Never. It is impossible. And if we start being praised for what we're doing, that means we're doing something wrong. We're probably corrupt. So let's talk about some of the victories I just want to share. Transit Workers Unite, which I'm a part of, and the Justice Coalition, and John and Seth and the TWU Fight Back. We put together some letters, and we put out some statements, and we've been pushing words and messages out there to the members since early March, like late February, early March. And I can speak for our locals. Even though our unions, our locals and our internationals have condemned us, have ignored us, have maligned us, they have emulated us. They took we were pushing on-site testing, and they're like, no, you can't do that. They went and took it. Yeah. We were pushing hazard pay. No, you can't do that. Well, now they're talking about it. You see what I'm saying? So there are things they're doing. And now look at that. Now we got New York City gonna be cleaning every night for a couple hours, telling everybody, get out of here. We got to make this place smell better at least. That's because of TWU Fight Back and others.
Yes.
Rank and file that applied pressure, but you're never going to get credit for it.
Never.
But that's okay, right? Because we don't care. We don't want credit. We just want to do the right thing.
Right.
We love, I can speak for myself. I love what I do. I love my job. It's fun. But man, I want some dignity and respect and safety.
It's
And
not
that's
a
all.
lot to ask for. It's really not. It's really.
But speaking for myself though, that's what. But what I'm saying though, we want a safe working kid. We want the best possible working conditions. Check this out. On April 8th, 4 of our car cleaners, rail car cleaners, we call them car servicers. They were given an assignment to clean a train on which one of our coworkers was very ill with COVID-19. They said, we don't have the appropriate SOP and the materials to do this job safely. Manager said, well, do it anyways. They said, no, the safety rules are clear. This is not safe. Okay, well, then you can go home. They decided to protect their lives. So they were sent home and disciplined or punished for it. They alerted our president of our union, and he did the right thing, and we give him credit for that. And him and our secretary went to the manager the next day, and they scared the hell. Our workers, our co-workers scared the hell out of those managers, and they threw the charges out. Check that out. That was in Chicago on April 8th. And we call them the Midway 4 because that's the terminal that they're at, the Midway Terminal. So these are little teeny tiny progresses, but we should count them and be inspired by them. And I just wanted to share that with you. And thanks again, Vince.
Yeah, that was awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. Encouraging us all, to remain in the fight, even though we're not going to get credit. We're like, we could play the background, but it's okay if they could take our ideas. At the end of the day, as long as it's going to help our coworkers and it's going to help us collectively, and that's what we want at the end of the day.
Just the result.
So we had someone else join. Sean, you want to give everyone a brief introduction, and also how do you feel of the company / union handling of this coronavirus crisis?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Gray. I'm a Broad Street Line cashier now. Drove the bus for 20 years. Section officer for 15 of those 20 years. And our local 234 right now is in shambles. We're separated as a group of people. There's no unity in our union, and it's just things as far as the virus going. Who knew the virus was coming? But it's here, and everything is a day late and a dollar short. Our union president is trying to act the role of doing what he's supposed to be doing, but that's not happening. It's not happening. Buses are not getting clean the way they're supposed to be. Too many people are riding on them. We have 5 deaths now, 7 of the company, 2 out of our local and 2 from another local. And the public is not taking this virus seriously, and we're not being protected like we're supposed to be as far as PPEs or anything that we're supposed to have. Forget about asking for hazard pay, even though SEPTA has plenty of money that they got from the government. They're not. Just come to work, and if not, don't come to work. We don't care. Just it's up to you. And we're not. They didn't slapped on the discipline. They can't discipline if you don't come to work, but they're not giving you attendance points. Normally, if you don't come to work, you get attendance points, but they stopped that. But other than that, it's move the people. And basically all we're moving are homeless people. And we are moving some people that got to go to work, but mostly it's homeless people. The surface bus, the surface transportation is free. Back center door, loading. They don't want you to go near the driver. It's supposed to be 20 person limit, but you got buses crowded going up and down the street. And the fare evasion underground is out of control. If it was bad, it's worse now. But again, SEPTA doesn't worry about that. They just keep the trains running, keep the buses running, and let the city worry about the homeless problem.
Right. So it seemed to be like we all facing like somewhat of similar issues all across the country with these transit agencies. So one of the things that Eric touched up on, the importance of us the importance of members actually speaking up, actually, coming on social media, using various outlets, to, get your point across. And hopefully, even though it might seem like it might fall on deaf ear at first, someone will eventually, take your ideas because they say, you know what, that makes sense. Let me hurry up and do this before I wind up in trouble. So, but we need more people such as us. We need more people speaking out. But when you have a union president, which our president yesterday, actually, he did a video that he posted on YouTube. He pretty much don't want people like us. He don't want organizers. He don't want people to speak up and hold him accountable, right? So if he was doing his job, right? If the president of our union was doing his job, then maybe we won't have people like myself, actually, criticizing him for the things that he's not doing. Let's be real. He said it on his own, out of his own mouth, that the response was late. They responded late to this whole situation, and coming up after and then try to clean up the mess, it's not enough. So the question I have for you guys is, there's a lot of fear, especially in our local, right? It doesn't seem to be in like New York. I see a lot of advocates, a lot of strong vocal people. I see them on Facebook, but how do we get people engaged? How do we get people to come out of their comfort zone and say, you know what, this is some bull crap that's happening. You know what I'm saying? And enough is enough. We can't take being beat down anymore. You know what I'm saying? We want to, how do we inspire people to want to come together, right? To actually start holding these elected officials accountable, not just our union, but also the SEPTA management, the company management. They have a job to do, and their obligation is to keep us safe. They dropped the ball, right? So that's it. Just moving on to the next subject. No, we have people dead as a result of their delay to this situation. So how do we not only hold the officials accountable, but how do we get people to not be scared, to want to actually speak up? Somebody want to go first?
Hey, they can't fire us all, Mike. let's just put it to you that way. That within itself should give folks the courage. Like you can't fire us all. Like
so, John, you want to go ahead?
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your bar there, but
yeah, go ahead,
okay. I'm just to answer that question. Like one of the reasons why I played you the video of Tony Gaetano was, like, I knew what I was doing. I was lighting the dynamite stick so that people might be thinking about their own leaders and what they're doing or not doing, and also be thinking about what an outrage it is that those who speak for us don't have the faintest clue about the experiences we have on an everyday basis. They couldn't possibly relate to our experiences in the slightest, and they put this out thinking that this will make them look good.
Right.
And they put out a video. It's 5+ minutes long. They didn't mention the bosses at all. They never mentioned Governor Cuomo. They never mentioned the MTA bosses. They never said it was unacceptable. They never did anything like that. And see, the reason why Seth and myself and others inside Local 100, especially the Local 100 Fight Back Coalition, have gotten a reputation as, this in the same way that Michael has gotten it as, oh, these people are just rabble rousers and troublemakers and they have to throw shade your way. Well, the reason why they have to is because we've targeted the bosses. We've stalked them constantly on social media. We've never let them have a free ride, and we expose them for the murderers that they are every day on the job. And one thing we also did is we reached out to other essential workers like nurses, like Amazon workers. We're about to go to a protest tomorrow. Chris Smalls. It's the people who nobody was thinking were going to lead the struggle, who nobody was looking to as leaders, the people that Amazon called unintelligent and he doesn't speak so well, who shook up the whole damn world. And We brought those people in contact with transit workers. We brought the nurses who led rallies at Harlem Hospital over a lack of PPE. We brought them to transit workers. Nurses are dying because they're wearing garbage bags. Meanwhile, their bosses, the Mount Sinai bosses, are chilling in their mansions in Florida while our working class brothers and sisters die unnecessarily because of their contempt. So part of it is, how do you get them to overcome the fear? You get to show them how it could be different. How we don't have to swallow shit and just be lucky to have a job and say, yes, sir, thank you, sir. Let me bow and scrape a little more for you to make your shit run. We make this system run. We make everything run. The working class makes everything run. And this crisis has exposed exactly the truth that's always been there, that we don't need them. They need us.
Absolutely.
We are not the disorder. They are. We are not the symptom of what's wrong. They're the disease, and they need to be cured.
Wow. Very, very, very inspiring, actually. And
No,
I mean,
and John's right, because
Yeah.
they get the privilege with all that money. I'm sorry to cut you
Right.
off, Mike. They
No, it's
get the
okay.
privilege with all that money to travel the world,
yeah,
and then God knows what you come back with when you're overseas with those diseases. That's how it came to the U.S. through the echelon, going to China and all these nice fancy like business meetings and all that crap, and brought it to the U.S. And now you just, that's just gonna go away on how it got to the U.S. No.
yeah.
Like, come on, like, let's be real.
So you want to lead that into answering a question in regards to like how do we get members to to actually wake up, to actually say, listen, we're not being dealt fairly, you know what I'm saying? And how do we get the better end of the stick? Because like John said, I mean, we have the power as union members, they can't run without us. So, I mean, how do we get people like engaged? How do we get people to want to like move, to take action? You know what I'm saying? And not this fear culture that's especially in our company is very rampant. So how do we reverse that trend, Javar?
How can we, like you said, it's fear driven, and I see it that it's the push of this current union culture of ours especially is to keep you ignorant. So when push comes to shove, like let's say you go into disciplinary, like actually like you don't know the steps of discipline, like you really don't know the ins and outs, and you got to depend solely on like I'm not gonna go there, but you don't even know if you're gonna have like a job or not. You don't know if you're truly gonna get represented like the right way. And that's why like folks are just scared. I mean, it's just fear, man.
Yeah.
Just fear.
I have a question. This is for John. Up in New York, are they testing everybody up there yet?
Well, it's basically they weren't testing transit workers at all for a long time. You had to be symptomatic. You had to have 100.4 fever, or they wouldn't test you at all. Now they say they're going to test asymptomatic transit workers, and this is just recently. This is like 2 days ago, a month and a half after the crisis started, and the plan is to test 1,000 transit workers a day. We have 42,500 workers. So what that would mean is that 42.5 days from now, we might know what the health status is of transit workers 30 days ago, which is completely unacceptable and doesn't solve our problem. Right. And what they're really doing is they want herd immunity. They want to test us for antibodies so they can develop herd immunity like we're livestock. Okay, that's what this is about.
Yeah.
Because once they start testing people, I know just down here in Philly, if we don't have nowhere as many as y'all do, but if you start testing, I'm pretty sure you're gonna lose half of your force, because people are gonna be turning up. There's people walking around here right now that got it and don't know. They have no symptoms, and you're walking around. I feel fine. Everything is great. What I need to go to the doctor for? I'm good. And you walking around affecting other people. You may be affecting your family, but they don't want you to be tested. But they want you to come to work and move these people up and down the street. or and you also putting yourself in jeopardy to get exposed by somebody else.
Right.
No testing. Our president just said yesterday that they were talking about it. They're trying to come up with the saliva thing, which is, I don't know how far away that's going to happen. And because they're saying that the one with the Q-tip they stick up your nose is too invasive, and people don't want to do that. If they have a test available now, they should be using it, because the more people you know who don't have it can keep away from the people who do have it, and we could be quicker to getting this pandemic, taking it, flattening the curve, and moving on to going back to some sense of normality. It's not, they're not doing it in the real world. They're not doing it in transportation. It'll be this time next year, and we still be going through the same problem, and people will still be dying.
And you know what? I'm sorry, Eric, you had your hand up?
Yes. I wanted to answer your question.
Okay. But before that, I was gonna just piggyback off what Sean just said in regards to testing. Now, the essential workers get tested, the drive-through testing. I think that's considered the police department, fire department, and also healthcare workers. However, we're not on that list, right? Despite the fact that they label us as essential workers.
Yeah, that's
a problem. That's a big problem. I mean,
Yes,
all this
the
time.
testing site,
Yeah.
one of the testing sites is right across the street from where
Yeah.
most of the cashiers that live on the south side of Philly park their car and catch the train to go to work. Right across the street.
Right.
So I went over there one day before I had to go to work, and they denied me.
Wow.
I'm like, I wait in this line for half an hour, and y'all tell me no.
Yeah.
I got my uniform on. You see who I work for. Everybody else give us respect, park for free, whatever the case may be. But I can't get tested, and I'm out here with the public, but I'm not essential. Well, if I'm not essential, let me go home.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead. You on, Eric?
Yeah, brother Audrey. This is something also that possibly you might be able to organize with your coworkers. Maybe there's something you can do, on a day off, or I know I'm limited right now because they don't want me breathing all this COVID stuff all over people. But maybe it's something you can do. Just all you need is one other person with you. That's concerted effort. You know what I'm saying? So just something you could do, passing out flyers that at a particular testing site, for the people coming out there. Hey, could you call them up and tell them that we're frontline too? I don't like the word essential because this Illinois state labor law uses that word to try to keep you from striking. So I don't want to keep saying that word.
Right.
We can't. We don't have the Taylor law yet, but we want to try to stay away from it. But brother Michael Bente, to answer your question about how to get people involved. So again, I call myself the Ravenswood Rookie. That's the name of the branch that I work on, the Ravenswood branch. I haven't been around, but I'm really hyperactive about not accepting the status quo. And I found that just going out, talking with coworkers, and then trying to recruit a couple to come out with you when you're off work, when you're off the clock, and you're on like shared public property,
right?
Passing out flyers to the coworkers and the riders about what you're experiencing regarding safety. We have a huge part-time force that has horrible benefits, and we're trying to get that taken care of. So we're trying to all kind of little things that you can do that are kind of like low intensity.
Yeah.
But it does inspire your coworkers, because I found, people send me messages on Facebook saying, hey, what do I do about this? And I don't trust the union and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to opt out and blah, blah, blah. So I try to, encourage people, no, you got to opt in. Don't opt out. But, little things like that I found. So we've done 3 of those kinds of actions from last year through February, okay? And I noticed it does kind of inspire the coworkers that I'm with. As far as online, like John said, and by the way, TWU Fight Back, they did a huge campaign to try to save station agents
Yes.
jobs.
Yes.
And you know, that's the type of thing. Just go to their page and look at what they do, and you'll be like, okay, I can do that. You know, because all you need to do is see what other people do, and then you're like, oh, I can do it too. You know, and just know your state law, know your contract, just know your basics. You'll be okay, and don't talk to the press. The other thing is, and John pointed this out too, that we try to do is when the mayor makes posts that, like videos and posts and stuff that are about us, troll them. Troll the mayor. You know, say, hey, we're you, but try to do it as your little organization. And Brother Audrey or anyone else here, your organization could be you and one other coworker. And then other people start joining with you, and then you collaborate with others, and then you look bigger and bigger. Right. And the other thing, and I wanted to announce this here today, is that on May 1st, our coalition is going to launch the workers' contract. So it is our intention to present an alternative collective bargaining agreement for our members, but it's going to be made by the members. It's going to be by the members. It's going to be a Google Doc. And if John wanted to add something to it, he could. If his nephew in California wanted to, and he's in preschool, and he's like, yeah, I like choo-choo trains, I want to write something, he could write something too. We're going to make our own contracts. And then when our union leaders come to us, whatever the lawyers gave them that we have to vote on, we can vote no and hold up this alternative contract that we, the workers, made. So maybe that's something you can do too. What I'm proposing is bold, and it's going to enrage so many people, but it doesn't matter anymore, right? Because COVID-19 has exposed every single flaw in all of our leadership. And that means it's time for us, you, every single one of us, to take over our unions and give it back to the members. Yes. We can't be a union boss. No. We have to be in the union and direct our union as the members. Thank you.
Beautiful. I like the idea though, with the actually making the members contract. Very innovative, you know, yes. And something that, you know, us members at Local 234 should definitely consider, you know, moving forward. Especially, you know, with contract being next year, we have a contract negotiation in 2021. And just to give y'all a little background, the last two contracts we pretty much lost. You know, increase in medical contribution, increase in co-pays, just the list goes on. I mean, retiree medical went from 50 months to 40 months. You know, we got no language, no camera language. You know, work conditions are the same. That was the time actually that we could have negotiated hazard pay, right? Right, yeah. For our members in the midst of this crisis, we wouldn't even be discussing it. It would already been there, just like the police department and the fire department and other city agencies, right? But they dropped the ball a few times. So that's definitely something to work on. I appreciate that, Eric. Appreciate that. So next we're gonna go to Seth. Did you already got a chance to speak? Vince, do you remember the question? Hold on.
He muted.
Yeah, I'm having fun with my backgrounds here.
I see he doesn't look engaged at all.
Yeah. No, I'm here. I hear you guys.
Do you see him in the background? Like he's just like, it's just over.
No. I love what Eric was saying about the workers' contract. I heard all you guys. I'm just having fun with this background thing in these Zoom meetings. I'm going to go in a few more when this is over. I got some other backgrounds I want to use. First, I want to say what's up to Sean too, over there. That's Sean right there. Yeah, my man. We go back years. Mike, all of us, we down here in Philly suffering hell with Willie and his insanity. I love the workers' contract idea. And I never thought of how the lawyers present things to Willie because he's not smart enough to figure out. I mean, look at the idiot behind him. Look at this guy. You think this guy's figuring out? He wrote one time he didn't invent the coronavirus. Does this fucking guy look like he can figure out where his car is in the parking lot? Yeah, Willie, I'm going into that. You got to be fucking kidding me. Look, I get emotional. I get insane. I don't want to take away from Mike's Zoom. I love what he's doing. I love the Sean's here. Eric, bring it. All you guys bring great energy. So I'm going to leave it. Huh? Oh, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to let you guys go back to it. Enjoy my backgrounds. I'll be in and out of it. I'm listening to all you guys. I hope you get better, Eric. I hope it's helping. The laughter's helping you get better. Yeah, that's it. Take it away, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. Thank you for continuing the humor. Much needed. So moving on, Harold. You want to answer? Do you remember the question? How do we get people to mobilize? How do we get people to stand up? Because this is a time where members should be standing up. We should be having hundreds of members lined up, right?
Everybody should be on here right now with us.
Yes.
But you know how it goes. Everybody not going to show their face. Everybody not going to take part of what's going on. They just going to be here. They going to be on Facebook. They going to be complaining like they always do. But ain't nobody going to never stand in a group and start hollering out loud like this is wrong. They dropped the ball. They not doing this right. They not going to say all that stuff. They too scared to say it. And they need to stop being scared and just come on out. Come on and join the forces and let us do our thing. All we want to do is do what's right for the membership. The members is always going to be the first priority. And they need to realize that. We all live in the same situation. We all got bills and we all got financial responsibility. Everybody needs to understand we all in this together. Ain't no one man better than everybody else.
Amen.
And
hey,
that's
we're
how
just
it is.
as outcast troublemakers, Harold. So that's
know.
how they maintain the fear, is casting us out as troublemakers. Like, oh, they're no good. You know, they're gonna be eventually fired soon. So that's how they maintain the fear. That's how they maintain the.
Listen, they want us to be fired soon.
The statement that the president made last night on YouTube was, he didn't say no names, but he basically talked about Mike and he talked about another brother of ours named Joe Bryant. He didn't say their names though, but everybody that's involved.
Everybody
with this
they know
who he's talking about.
Yes,
and
they do.
It's starting to increasingly be a part of his message. He could talk about whatever. He could talk about the rocks in his tire, but he got to say something about Mike and Joe. And it's starting to be, that shows that we're starting to get under his skin. You know, he wants to talk about the election. The election was in September. I ran. Mike ran. We lost.
We all lost.
We lost. So since, okay, now let's do something different. You've been a president as long as you've been a president. Do something different. You only see him during election time. Do something different. You want us to come together. His message yesterday, well, we need to come together. Stop listening to Mike. Stop listening to Joe. And Joe doesn't even work for the authority no more. Forget him. Come together. Come together. We need to come together now. We got a negotiation next year, and the SEPTA sees that we're apart like this. It's the same story.
But you know what, Sean? He's already blaming, us for the failure of the contract he's going to negotiate next year. Because
absolutely.
We have a new general manager, guys. For most of you that's on here that don't know, the general manager just started in January, actually. So this is like a test and experiment trial for her, because she's going to be negotiating the contract next year along with the board members, right, and the union officials. So she's already got a glimpse of what our union is capable of doing, what they're willing to take, right? How much garbage can be thrown at us, right? She's already getting a glimpse of it.
Mike, don't forget that this woman is a former SEPTA board member.
Yes.
Yes, she is.
She was a board member before she got the job that she had before she came back.
And
she knows how it works. and she probably already know Willie before when she was here the last time. And ain't nothing changed. Once they got the door open for medical, because when I started this job, we didn't have to pay for medical. That was one of the good things about getting this job. I don't have to pay for medical.
Yeah.
Well, people say, well, the cops got to pay for them. If I wanted to be a cop, I'll be a cop, but I'm not.
Right.
I drive a bus and I don't pay medical. Don't be mad at me.
Right.
Now, once we open that door, it's open now. So that's water under the bridge. We ain't gonna never get that back. But as far as the amount of people that we move, okay, New York is one. I don't know where Chicago ranks at, but I know it's probably up there high. But I know we're the 5th largest mover of people in the country. Yeah. Where are we at in pay? We're not even in the top 25.
Not at all.
Wow.
Not in the top 25. As operators, we're not in the top 25. And they talk about cost of living. We cost of living in Philadelphia last year was 1.9%. So we got a 2% raise the first 2 years of our contract. In a couple of years, it was 2.3, whatever. And all we getting is cost of living raises. What about a real living wage? When are we gonna get a raise? 5%. New York got 11 or 15 in 3 years, and we only got 8.5 and 5. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Right. We can do better. Eric, you had your hand up. Go ahead, Eric.
Okay. So one thing I'm adding to, maybe this will help a little bit, this issue. Yeah, we're number 2 as far as rides in the country, as far as size of a transit agency, our bus and rail. But I notice when we engage with the riders, they become enlightened about our situation, our working conditions, our pay, and frankly, none of them. And I'm a people person. I engage with people. Like even when I'm on duty, I just talk with them. I try to make the passengers' experience at the CTA a fun, because I want them to keep riding, because without them, there's no job. So they'll ask me questions about the job, and I'll tell them, and they're astonished. They're flabbergasted what our part-timers go through, what we have, our working conditions and our raises and our benefits and whatnot. So whatever opportunity you have, especially off duty, to engage, one action that we actually planned on doing before the shutdown of, secure in place, everybody stay home. It's like, uh-oh, and the libraries canceled everything, is we were gonna have an action called a transit worker meetup. Not meetup, but greet and meet the transit worker. So we were gonna engage with the public and answer their questions about transit and share with them our struggle, you see? So we didn't get to launch it, so I can't tell you if it would have been successful, but I think it would have been, because once they know, we need allies in them, So to get that, let's work a little bit more on reaching out to these people who we have to transport. What do you think?
That's nice, but for SEPTA, like they got like the media relations like shield, policy with us, we really have to police ourselves on what information we just volunteer out to the public and stuff like that.
Yeah, they have 234 employees are not supposed to talk to the media without a prior approval from supervision.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, don't go to media. Don't go to media. I'm not saying media. I'm saying people, person to person, nothing recorded, right? I mean, if someone wants to go in there and record it, you can be like, hey, come on, we don't want people getting in trouble here. But you can't do it by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Know your law, know your company rules. Just dig up that stuff and know the facts. and even let your union leadership know what you're doing. All they can do is say, no, that you can't do that. We don't approve it. Well, we're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
now what the general public, now what we can inspire them to do is have them take video of us actually working. They can't do that. That's the public's right. The public has every right to do that. Actually record our actual working conditions and what we go through.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can tell that.
And let the footage expose itself. And okay, so next time a general manager of our transit authorities or someone pretty high up or politician, that footage contradicts what they say. Like they just want to stand up and be pretty, oh well, yeah, this is not what
Right.
you're here. Let the action speak for itself. I mean,
Seth, you had something to say?
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I wanted to say is, with respect to speaking to the press, I'm pretty sure that talking to the press and making political statements are protected speech. I have to check on that, but I don't, there's something in our rules that talk about portraying the MTA in a bad light, but we're all citizens. We all have the right to free speech. And if we're expressing, I'm on Facebook constantly. I make sure to try and stay analytical, and I'm very sharp, right? And I will go on the attack, but I won't call names, but I'll do a sharp analysis of the MTA. And for example, here, right? The MTA, I have point by point how the MTA failed in their response in this COVID crisis. And they are responsible for the deaths of my fellow workers, right? They have blood on their hands. And there's nothing the MTA can do to stop me from saying that. They can try to punish me, but if they take me to court on that, there's no way they're gonna win, and they're gonna look bad for trying to do that. My understanding is that they can't, if you're speaking as an individual citizen,
yes,
right, they can't stop you from talking to the press. That's not how
absolutely.
So Seth and John, I have a question for both of you two. What is MTA's social media policy? Just out of curiosity.
Well, MTA's social media policy is pretty draconian. They actually have people spying on our members, trolling their Facebook posts.
That's right now.
All that, right? Yeah, I'm sure. Hi MTA, by the way. Don't care. Troll me, record me, take me. I'll take you to court and I'll own the MTA. Okay. So in any case, as Italians would say, "Bafangu." Okay. There's nothing they're going to do about it. There's nothing there's going to do about it. You know what? The United States Constitution trumps their rule book. Period. End of story. Next case.
Right.
I want to have that fight. You come right for me. I'm waiting here. By the way, my job starts at this time, ends at this time. You know where I am. You come on. Because they're a bunch of paper tigers. They're a bunch of geeks in suits. And we used to think they were harmless. But now we realize they're sociopaths. They're murderers. Okay, they're not cute and cuddly. These people are murderers. They have blood on their hands, and we're going to say it every chance we get. Seth wanted to talk about the real danger here, which I think is something we need to be very aware of, and that's the rise of the right wing and the economic crisis. So I'll let Seth.
Yeah, well,
I agree.
Let me say one more thing about the MTA. With the MTA, with respect to this is the organization that thought that they could tell a Sikh train operator that he couldn't wear his religious head garb at work, right? A violation of one of our basic part of the Bill of Rights. And they thought they could win. They took it to court. Guess what? The Constitution applies to them as well. They also, when FMLA came out, they went to court saying FMLA doesn't apply to us. Guess what? It does, right? So the MTA has this history of, when it comes to their workers, saying that we don't have the basic rights that America says that we have. And they lose on that over and over again. So I'll put that aside though, right? I wanted to talk, right, because we've talked a lot about, right now we're all, I think, in similar boat. We're all in a defensive fight, fighting for PPE, fighting for safety. Our union's not fighting for us. Our transit authorities are letting us die. And they'd rather run service than actually protect us. But we have to remember that we're at the beginning of a very long, dark period that's coming, right? Economically, we're going to see a Great Depression. And right now we're seeing a battle where on the one hand, you've got Trump and his supporters violating all of science, saying we should open things back up now so the billionaires can start making their profits again on our backs. And we have to understand that if they do open up and do that, there's going to be more waves of this virus, and they're going to hit us again disproportionately, right? Essential workers and people of color. So Trump and his supporters who want to reopen things right now, and it's not going to just stay in Georgia. It's not going to just stay in Tennessee or Florida. It's going to, people travel all over this country, and it's going to come and hit the big cities up north, right? So we have to understand that all those people protesting to reopen the economy and Trump encouraging them are a threat to all of our lives, right? We may have survived this wave, we may not have, but when the next wave comes, if they get their way, there's going to be a second wave and a third wave, and we're going to see more and more deaths, and it's going to be a target on all of our backs. So we have to think about that, and we have to think about the fact that, I don't know about in Philly, but in New York, we're already starting to see the first shots, warning shots, that they're going to try and make working people pay for this depression, right? They call us essential workers, but they don't care about our lives, and they'll bail out the banks. But when you got to reopen your contract and accept major concessions, right? They've already called for, the New York Daily News has already called for public worker wage freeze, and the raises that a lot of public workers were supposed to get have been put on hold. And that's just the first couple of shots on what's going to be coming. Everywhere around this country, unionized workers and workers with contracts, the state and local governments are going to demand reopening those contracts to try and win concessions from us on wages, on healthcare, on work rules, all of that stuff, right? It is going to be a major battle. And with our union officials, the way that they are, like our union is so tied to Cuomo that if, you can see this, we're dying, over 100 of us are dying, and yet they can't criticize Cuomo. And when he does the most minuscule thing, Utano is there praising him. Oh my goodness, it's so great, right? So we have to realize that we're in a very dangerous position. And this organizing we're doing here, we're all starting to talk. As John said, we're talking to nurses, Amazon workers, Instacart workers, Target workers. The quicker we can come together and all realize that together we stand stronger and we're all in the same boat, the more we can start to fight back against that. And workers like Amazon and Instacart, Target workers who are not unionized, they need us to have their backs, right? And at the same time, they're out in front of the struggle. They're talking about striking tomorrow, and we need to have their backs, and they will have our backs. And the quicker we can start building that to fight these battles that are coming, we need to be prepared for it.
Now, one of the things, I'm going to let you speak, John, real quick. I wanted to say one of the things that I've been seeing actually, with the protests, given that we're in a crisis that we're in, right? Is it something, it's not recommended by the CDC, et cetera, et cetera. Is that a smart thing to do, or to actually have like whole rallies and be around groups of people?
Well, there is, just so you know, that there's nobody in the world that cares more about social distancing and PPE than Chris Smalls. And he's proved it, and he's put his career on the line and was willing to sacrifice his job to fight for safety, not for himself, but for other coworkers. So this is going to be very well organized, and we're going to have everybody 6 feet apart. Okay. Everybody's going to have PPE. We've taken precautions to make sure that happens. But the bottom line is that we can't just sit immobilized and passive. As important as Zoom is and as important as networking is, it's not a solution for the crisis that we face. And we have to come to grips with the fact that the world can never be the same again. There is no normal anymore. There's no going back to normal anymore. We cannot follow Joe Biden's advice, to just go back to sleep and go back to the way things used to be in the good old days, because they weren't that good then, and they're killing us now. And the bottom line is, if we don't start to take those actions, They're going to step over our dead bodies, and they'll keep going to the bank, cashing in off the blood of our brothers and sisters. And it's posed that starkly. You see people armed with semi-automatic machine guns who are outright racist thugs looking to open up this economy. They are pro-death. They are Nazis. They are the foundation of Nazism in this country. And if y'all haven't been paying attention to Trump, he's throwing that red meat. Who do you think he's throwing the red meat to? They are the lion. They are the beast that's being fed by all of this nationalism and all of this racism. And if we don't come up with a solution for the crisis, they will. And we're not going to be very happy what that solution looks like. Sorry to be that's a little bit of a downer, but you know.
No,
It's
that's real.
it's the truth. It's the truth. So, Mike, can I jump in here?
Absolutely.
So I heard the question, and my first answer is we need to have a coalition of union members, 234, every other union in Philadelphia, the riding public. You know, I said to you the other day when we were on a call with some of the other members is attacking Willie directly, I don't think it's a good idea, because he has connections with political people who we need support from. When I recommended to you that you seek out directly Helen Ginn, Isaiah Thomas, Derek Green, Kendra Brooks, these are people who were elected as at-large candidates. These are candidates who can do things in Philly, probably won't unless it's attached with media. But when I said to you, engage the ride in public, you know, what you're doing is very important. When I listen to the brother from Chicago that's still sick, or, you know, that's battling this virus, and I'm praying for you, I hope you get better. I'm listening to the brother from NTA out in New York, you know 32 BJ in New York, you know, I know MTA is big, you know, BJ is big out there. I'm a member of BJ. We use political power. We use the people. Like, I mean, you ask somebody about these purple shirts, when they see us, they know we mean business. So you need this coalition. You know, Mike, what you're doing is so important. You know, I mean, we know Willie got his supporters. He also has his contractors, but we also know that everybody's not willing to step out in front. You're stepping out in front because you're compassionate about what's going on, not only to you, but to your workers. They're trying to make it like it's about you. The one thing I learned when I first joined BJ, I was told, they said, Leroy, the one thing you need to understand is it can never be about you. So even though this is a SEPTA issue, you know, we got a bunch of SEPTA workers on, we got a bunch of transit workers on here. When you reach out to the public, like I told you, blitz Facebook, blitz Instagram, blitz YouTube, like the guy was saying, the mayor, when the mayor troll the mayor, your videos need to be attached to whatever the mayor is doing. All the city council members, it needs to be attached there. Listen, what about the transit workers? You know, like when I put that post up and I sent it to you the other day, as soon as we got off the phone, I wrote this post. I was like, listen, I don't know who's speaking for public ridership or the transit workers, you know, but something needs to be done. Where are our elected officials? This is important to us. It's not about what somebody else is making. It's like, you know, people are dying. People can't get to work. Y'all associating essential with being healthcare, but all of these other people have to go to work. And I also said that when you look at the routes that SEPTA canceled, they strike my union specifically because it cuts across a demographic that is poor and needing to support their families. They need to get to these jobs. You know, when you look at bus routes 33, 44, 39, 54, all of these kind of routes that come through the poor Black neighborhoods, the poor Hispanic neighborhoods, the poor white neighborhoods, these people need to get to work. And when you got to walk 9, 10, 12, 15 blocks to get to a bus, only to have a driver pass you by because their bus is filled, something's wrong with that. And Willie can't hide from that. But that's where the focus has to be. It don't have to be Willie. Focus on the people. That's all I'm saying. That's the one thing I've learned. Focus on the people. Now, I know we got some, you know, in different unions, we have different opinions. You know, like you got 40-something thousand members in New York. They do things certain way. Like most of our 175,000 members are based in New York. They make a lot more money than a lot of other members. But when it's time for us to come together, when you're talking about a coalition, you know, like we got the people that supporting people not being able to pay rent and all of this other stuff, the healthcare workers. Mike, you got to target these people. Not only you, but all of these other people. Like we got, you know, the brother with 22 years, the brother that's battling COVID out there in Chicago. Man, I love you. I got family out there. You know, I love you and I appreciate what you're doing. And the brother in New York. Listen, y'all are in your face. Like Philly is in your face too. So let's not take away from Philly because we've been in your face. You know, will he play a game? But see, he ain't ran up across the right people.
No, not at all.
Okay.
So this is going to lead up to the final question before we have to wrap this up, and this is going to the visitors. So what do you guys? This is going to John, Seth, and Eric. So what do you guys suggest, like moving forward? Like, you know, as far as like, you know, building, obviously it's power in numbers, right? What do you guys suggest, like moving forward as far as, you know, for us collectively as transit workers? I know in TWU, we're under TWU International, and we haven't heard from him in this local, John Samuelson. We haven't heard from him at all. And we pay the International over $1 million a year. We have not heard from our representative, Curtis Tate, who is the transit representative. We had not heard from John Samuelson. In fact, the members in local 234 don't even know who these guys are, right?
No.
So I mean, so what do you? I know I say that to say, like, you know, what are some of the other things we can do collectively, you know, as a union, to, you know, to become stronger?
Well, I know Curtis Tate personally, and I know John Samuelson personally. And Curtis Tate and John Samuelson ran against each other in the local 100 election that Samuelson was elected in. And they made a deal to come together. And ever since, Curtis Tate has been paid very handsomely to be an international vice president. And basically, they've been scratching each other's back and in the lap of the bosses for a decade or more. And, you know, Samuelson is the root of all the Cuomo love, all the fealty to our boss. In fact, he invited our boss, Andrew Cuomo, to the International TWU convention like 2 years ago. And people walked out, like members of our union walked out because they don't want to be lectured to and sermonized to by their scumbag boss at their union convention of all things. But getting to the point of what we can do, right? One of the things that we've done is we've built United Front work with people who we don't agree with politically. Like we've had a wide net in terms of trying to build united actions with people who we have disagreements with and people who we don't think we have to agree with ahead of time in order to take united actions. And that's what Local 100 Fight Back was founded on. But literally, all you have to do to join the Local 100 Fight Back Coalition is to agree to our basic principles, our core principles. And those core principles are basic democratic functioning of the union under membership control. That anybody who runs with Local 100 Fight Back Coalition for office believes in building a united democratic opposition that's accountable to the membership before they get elected, not after they get elected. They take a pledge that if they will not hold up these principles, if they were elected, everybody we run with will remove them from office. We'll seek to remove them from office. So, I mean, fundamentally, what we need to have is a megaphone. Like Chris Smalls has the megaphone, and he's trying to offer it up to nurses. He's trying to offer it up to transit workers. We need to grab the megaphone, and we need to amplify the voices of our members. Because, Michael, I couldn't tell you the first thing in the world about what it is to be a Black man in America. What I couldn't tell our sisters who work in ridiculous conditions and get discriminated against because they're female, what their experiences are. How could I possibly speak for their experiences, even if I was the most sympathetic person in the world? And see, that's what we got to get to. We have to get to the point of it not being about us, but it being about letting loose the gates and all the barriers that stop working class people from being fully human, from being able to express their own feelings, from being able to communicate with each other, relate those experiences, all those kind of things.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
I'm and you too, Seth. Another question. I mean, I know, like, we dropped Cuomo's name up quite a few times. More on the local side of things. What's De Blasio doing?
Well, de Blasio is responsible for the homeless problem in New York. He's responsible for, that Tale of Two Cities bullshit he was selling when he was running for office?
Yeah.
Guess whose side he's on? The people who keep us in poverty, the real estate parasites.
Oh, Lord. That's right. You mention, yeah.
I did mention that earlier, didn't I?
Yeah, you did mention that earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Seth, did you want to add on to what John was saying?
Why don't you go to some? I got derailed there for a second, so come back to me in a sec.
Okay. No, how about that's all right. With the De Blasio, huh?
Michael, you got Seth speechless. That's a major accomplishment.
So, with Eric, the question is, what can we do collectively to build power to go up against this machine?
So again, I'm entering this. I'm your rookie sensation here, everybody. So pardon me, pardon all the mud that keep falling on my face. But it is a simple principle of respect for each other and working with each other, and actually appreciating the potential in our coworkers, as opposed to seeing what they are or what they claim to be. The biggest thing I'm running into is nobody's united. Everyone's gonna stab you in the back. So I said, hey, are you gonna stab me in the back? No. Well, I'm not gonna stab you in the back. So that makes two, right? And then they'll say, well, nobody's united and that. I said, well, come on, what you doing such and such day? What do you think about this problem? What do it's all about believing in the potential, looking at the glass half full instead of half empty, and then organizing, getting your coworkers involved and letting them, keep telling them and showing them and pulling them to the reality that the union is garbage without them in control of it.
Yeah.
No one person can help us. They'll tell me, hey, you need to run for president. I said, I'm not running for anything. You can nominate me, go ahead, but I'm not gonna be so vain to step up and say, I want to be the leader. You are the leader. You are the leader. That's how unions work. And that's the only way we're gonna do this. We just gotta get down dirty in the ground and just get people together, even if it's only 4 people. And we're gonna have some members who, one other thing I gotta tell you, you're gonna have some members that hate the elected leaders and all they wanna do is rip them to shreds. Embrace them. We've got 2 union members right now being sued by our presidents.
Oh, Jesus.
Sued because these people have called them names and are always after them because they're ripping us off. They're being sued. I mean, our local, we're paying these people their salary and they're suing our own members.
Yeah. But I had a similar story. They actually brought me up on charges when I first created my newsletter. It was just a newsletter that I published to the members here, and they brought me up on charges in an attempt to silence me. So it was just a kangaroo court that I attended. They appointed 3 trial committee members, and it was just a whole bunch of nonsense. All that just to silence me. And that was 3 years ago. Here I am still speaking up. So I mean, that's a problem in this union, man. It's like all over the country. It's like, if you don't agree, it's okay. It's okay. We can agree to disagree, right? It's okay.
our problems here in 234 aren't coming from the union. It's coming from the relationship they have with management.
Management, yeah, they're in bed.
Because they've been in charge for so long. Myself were harassed by management during the last election time. I know Mark got written up several times. They wrote me up several times. The only difference is I didn't accept nobody to represent me. I represented myself, because you're not gonna pull the wool over my eyes, because I know the rules. I know their rules and I know our rules. And all they did was just try to, slow you down. Just slow you down. They know they can't really stop you, but they want to slow you down, slow your roll, so they can get their war chest up, get their people together. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to Mike. They don't know what they're talking about. I mean, when they first started, the election first started, it was like the candidates against me have no experience. They did everything they could not to get me into this election. And then when I finally did, they had the chain of experience and knowing what to do, that and the other. And also, they talked about Mike, they talked about the other candidates, but they didn't say a word about me, because I know where the bodies is buried. They're not going to say nothing. They're not going to say nothing bad about me. But the bottom line, enough is enough. You've been in office for 12 of the past 15 years. You're not doing nothing. You're not, like you said, Eric, they're not for the people. He's for that position. He's for that $115,000 a year he's getting doing nothing. That's all that counts. And I'm going to do whatever I got to do to make sure I keep that salary. And he's not looking out for his reactionary.
Yep, I totally agree with you.
He has one of his spies watching this right now. They'll tell him, and then he'll come out with another YouTube video where he doesn't say Mike's name or Joe's name or my name, but he'll say, we need to come together. Y'all need to stop talking about stuff that doesn't matter. It don't matter to him because he's not doing nothing about it.
Right. And if they are watching, take back this suggestion, to use this type of platform to have a virtual section meetings, actually have an official meeting, where we can
they're gonna
make
have
decisions.
To do that because we have nomination meetings for new section officers all over the property in SEPTA coming up in August.
Yes.
And the way things is going, things that might not be opened up to have a gathering.
Yeah,
so
they don't want us. They do not. They are totally allergic to doing this kind of forum. Even a teleconference, they're like, no.
Yeah.
And it's just because of people like us, because we are a disruptive force, to their controlled chaos. So but keep pushing, brothers.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's how you know you're doing something right.
No.
If that's disturbing them, you're doing something right.
Because man, I'm telling you, brothers, I'm telling you, I see it all the time. They are scared to death of us, and we are nothing. We're nothing. We're just like, we just take initiative. What we're like when we were little. You know how you would play and hang out with people, and they say, "Hey, there's a window. Let's throw a rock and break it." And we're like the one that says, "Okay, cool, let me try." I mean, just like that, but now we're more civilized.
Right.
So, I just want to encourage you all, just keep talking to your members, organizing them for little tiny things. It's like push-ups, brothers. You're just going to do 5 push-ups and it's hard, but you do 6 push-ups in 2 more days, then do 8 and 10. Man, you're going to be knocking out 100 push-ups in no time, but you just got to keep going.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And Mike,
we're going to wrap this up.
Okay.
We're going to wrap this up. So everybody just, real quick, just make a exit statement or whatever statement you want to make. And then we're just going to wrap this up. And then hopefully, I'm hoping we could do something like this again, John, Seth, we can, hook up, and also Eric and everybody else here. We could do something like this again and actually, have a different agenda next time around. Absolutely. And, just keep on pushing. Go ahead, John. You want to start?
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Thank you guys so much for your hospitality. I really appreciate it. And want you all to know this was Michael's idea. It was, it was something we should have done a long time ago. It was so great to actually get to interact with this this legend that I heard about in Philadelphia Transit. I couldn't put a face to the name. Like I always seen his name and I always seen him out there, but we haven't had a chance to discuss, and it's been too long. And I hope that it won't be too long until we do it again. And the only reason why I got a jet is I got a protest to lead tomorrow with Amazon, and I got the leader of that protest on my phone trying to work out the details. So I got a jet, dude. So
Okay.
I'll see y'all later.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, bro.
Dave, have a great night.
And Seth, you wanna wrap up too?
Yeah, I just want to quickly say that, maybe to answer your question just quickly, like our last contract round, Local 100 Fight Back was organized, and we ended up, a lot of people didn't like the way the union was organizing the contract, and we ended up holding our own protest at basically the MTA building where we get disciplined, and a lot of their office buildings or stuff like that. And we got like 100 people there, and another dissident group, Progressive Action, also organized, and we went into the MTA board meeting. And what we saw there was we had some speeches outside, but then we also went in and people started speaking and going after the MTA with respect to how we were treated and how they, didn't care if we get injured. This was before the pandemic. But what we saw there was, kind of what Eric was saying a little bit. We had been building and we held this action, and we saw new people who had never come out and publicly spoke, standing up to the MTA board, telling them off, speaking their anger, telling the truth. And it was very empowering. And if we can do more of that, if people are angry with this crisis, people know that they consider our lives expendable. They just want us to work ourselves to death. So if we can keep interacting with people, showing them what we're talking about here. And one thing that we're doing on the ground is we're trying to get people out there to go with us out to places doing what the union should be doing, enforcing safety, going out together and saying, hey, do you have masks at this location? Okay, good. If you don't, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. If not, you're going to need to get shut down, right? Showing and relaying those stories, telling members what their rights are and showing them examples of how to stand up and defend yourself. I wrote up my first day back. I wrote up my thing where I went and I said, if you don't get a train there for people to socially distance to use as like a place to sit, a closed off train, not one for passengers, for us, I said, we got to shut this terminal down. I wrote that up and people have been sharing it, So every little thing like that, where we show that we can use our rights and stand up for ourselves, is something we can do to build on. And I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much. And you seem like you're very passionate, man. It's like you just live and breathe union. It takes a lot. I know it takes a lot of energy, a lot of work that, we already subjected to, many hours on the job. Outside of that, you're organizing and you're doing these things. Is very inspiring. And
I've been doing union organizing, on and off various stuff since I was in my early 20s.
Wow.
In different areas and stuff like that. And so it matters a lot to me. And the fact that they keep telling us that we're heroes and we're essential and that we're okay if we die from COVID-19 and they didn't even do the basics, it gets me angry. And so I want to do something about it. Absolutely.
I'm with you on that. And, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Keep up the fight. Anything I could do, feel free, to contact me. Now you guys have my contact. Eric, you want to say something? You want to close off?
No. I'm enjoying this. Thank you.
Good? Okay. Anybody else? Harold?
I want to say one last thing. I just forgot to say it. So I was born in Philly. Both sides of my family are from Philly. We moved when I was like 7, but Philly's always been close to my heart. So it's nice to see you guys, right? And I'm sorry you guys are going through similar stuff to what we're going through, but stay strong, right? You're a great city. You guys are tough workers, right? And we gotta stick together.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Anybody else have Sean, you want to wrap up, or Harold?
I'm good. We gotta keep pushing.
Let's keep on fighting. And let's make it happen, guys. Hopefully the viewers, the audience that's watching, inspired by this Zoom meeting, and actually roll up your sleeves and get to work, because it's going to take us coming together, actually working individually also, you know, collectively, to make some things happen. You know, the way it's going right now, the status quo is not working for us. It's not working for the workers.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to take action, or else they're just going to keep on pounding on us and beating on us. We can't say, you know what, I'm going to just hide under my bed and just come out when the coast is clear. That's not going to happen.
So
Gonna
Mike,
happen.
For the boogeyman,
Mike,
boogeyman.
Mike, I have a question.
Yeah.
So when do you anticipate doing another call? I mean, because see, when I said to you earlier, I think that, you know, we have to try to get a coalition together. You know, I mentioned to you when we were on call the other day, different various websites, you know, WDAS, No Gun Zone on Instagram and whatnot. If you can decide when you want to do another call and put it on some of these public entities to engage more people. I mean, because, you know, for some weird reason, as I ride public transportation, you know, a lot of people don't understand that there's a separation between SEPTA workers and SEPTA management. And I think that's a message y'all really need to get out there. As a union member, it's easy for somebody to decide that, you know what, it's the bus driver's fault, it's the train operator's fault, not realizing that, you know, there's a hierarchy. So with venues like this, if we can engage more and more people like that coalition, remember I told you the other day, with X being on your head and on your back and anybody else that's been with you, you need to reach out to the political people. You know, we started that the other day. So like, if you can put out there ahead of time on these various venues, like, you know what, get on Twitter, like, you know, tag the SEPTA, iSEPTA Philly, whatever their page is. You know what, there's a Zoom meeting, you know, we welcome in the public. No Gun Zone, he got a bunch of followers. Listen, I'm having this meeting, you know, this is about the workers and about the riding public. I need some input. Invite the people, give them the member number that they can call in the time and date, you know, so it's not so much about Mike attacking Willie. It's not about the members attacking Willie. It's about the public speaking and like, listen, I'm trying to get to work and y'all fucking us over. What y'all gonna do about it?
Yeah, Leroy, I already have that what you mentioned with getting reaching out directly to public officials and, you know, opening that door to the public. I actually have that set in place for Mike already.
Right.
Folks, so
Yeah.
we're gonna take that from there. Yep. So I got that all set up and we're gonna start launching today. We're gonna start launching.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what's up.
That's what I'm talking. And anything we can do, you know, as far as with, you know, your coalition, Seth and Eric, as far as your local, even if it's, you know, having something like this or maybe making some calls, whatever we can do. I mean, New York is not really that far. Even when things open back up,
90 minutes away.
Definitely keep us posted, man. You know, we want to be a part of this.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so I know, like someone asked, I think it was you, Leroy, just like when we're gonna have another one. Mike, I think we just I guess we could all come to agree to actually have a structured, I don't know if you want to do like the last Thursday of every month to have these, or bi-weekly. I don't know, like I'd say we, like, in order to really gain traction, and, you know, set up flyers in advance. I know, like I made up a flyer for, you know, this meeting on the fly for today, but still, you know, have structure to these, so we can really gain the traction that, you know, we're seeking for our cause.
Yeah, and we also got to be mindful of the agenda, and, you know, whether or not, you know, to have other locals involved, because I'm sure, like, it's some things that, you know, you got. I mean, of course, y'all can sit in any meeting, but we want to make it a two-way. You know what I'm saying? Whereas though it could be beneficial for all parties as well, right? So that was the whole thing of this meeting. How can what can we do collectively, like nationwide? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, and also to hear the struggles that's going on, you know, and these various locals. So I'm sure there's things that we can do collectively on a nation level.
This is why I mentioned to you, Mike, as much as it's about the transportation, what keeps the transportation going is the public. So you divert it from Willie and Leslie and Mike per se, and include everybody.
Include
You
the
know,
public.
because see, when you make it about you, it's easy for Willie and anybody else that's been in the game the past 20 or 30 years to say, you know what, this is some new jet trying to make a name for itself. When you make it about the people who are struggling to get the work, who are being left behind because we got the buses full and we're directed to pass them by, when you make it about them, then you know what, nobody can say, you know, oh, Mike trying to make a name for himself, Sean just disgruntled. You understand?
Yeah.
The brother in Chicago, he just want to be heard. The brother in New York, oh, he trying to gain political action. No, this is about, the one thing I learned about my local and BJ is we are about raising up America. Everybody else, like we want the janitors, the doormen, the security officers, the window washers, everybody to make better. But you know what, in order for us to make better, we got to bring everybody else along, because if you're making what you're supposed to be making, if you're protected like you're protected, and everybody else can gradually make steps, then they can't say, you know what, it's just about one guy. So you got to learn how to include everybody. You got to start branching out. You got to develop a coalition. Reach out to the seniors, you know, reach out to the nurses, like all them people, because we still got, we got medical professionals that's jumping on the L every day, this jumping on, this out waiting for these buses that's getting passed by, and they feeling some type of way.
Yeah.
Not only that, but getting to work and not having the proper PPE, you know, the same thing a lot of us don't have in our essential jobs that's non-essential to the politicians when they talk about it, you know. So like you have to understand to, you know, even though Willie is a nail under your a thumb under your nail, guess what? Fuck Willie. It ain't about Willie no more. It's about the members of 234. It's about 1199. It's about 32 BJ. It's about the painters union. It's about anybody that needs to get something. That's what your message needs to be. Guess what? This is not only about 234. Yeah, we struggling, but guess what? The people that we have to move are struggling also. How can we do this together? That's where you need to direct this. That's the only thing I can say to you.
Well, I was going to say what Eric had his hands up, and I was going to ask you a question, Seth. But go ahead, Eric.
I just wanted to add to this to let you know that Transit Workers Unite. I'm you know, kind of, I guess what you could call like one of the people that are involved a lot. I hate that word leader.
You do the podcast, right?
I do some weird stuff. Yeah.
Okay. I ran into your podcast once before. It was pretty interesting.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
very interesting, actually.
Blog Talk Radio, you mean?
Yeah. You got a couple episodes, right?
Right. Yeah, trying to educate people.
That was good. That's a good podcast.
Thank you. So, you know, I'm going to put in the chat box the link for Transit Workers Unite, because this page and then the private group we have may assist you. It may help you. It may be a tool for you to help us make this coalition, this national, this international consciousness of radical change that we are all pushing for here. Because we just got to admit it for what it is. It is radical because it's against what the rulers are telling us is good for us. So it's radical.
True.
So, anyways, there you go.
Yeah, and then I visited that page, actually. Very informative, along with Seth, Local 100.
Yes.
Very informative. I mean, we don't really, in this local, we don't really have too much, type of educational material floating around. It's pretty much you gotta dig for it, So I'm trying with the 234 union buzz with my Facebook page to try to bring the information in front of the people and actually educate and inform them. Even with the air quality thing on, it was a nice little cute flyer on there. Actually, it was talking about everything with the air quality, so that was pretty interesting. But you had something to say, Seth?
No, I think I was just going to say, I think it's probably about time for me to sign out. I'm back to work, and so I'm dealing with my managers and stuff. So I was starting to fade. So I just wanted to thank everybody. Thank you, Michael. Very stimulating conversation. And
Yeah.
definitely do
Good night,
it.
brother.
Thank
Have
you.
a good evening.
Everybody have a good night.
Take
All
care.
right, y'all.
Okay.
All right.
Peace.
All right, gents.